Hey now, and welcome down to KCToyreviews. We are here today with Unbreakable by Soosootoys, aka Robert Kirkman's Invincible. Now this is a pretty decent release by Soosootoys, but unfortunately there are a couple drawbacks. And if you're at all curious what those are, then let's go ahead, hold each other's hands, fine comb some of those details, and dive right the hell goddamn in. Alright, so here we are again with Unbreakable by Soosootoys. Now, of course, this is based off of Robert Kirkman's Invincible, and underneath the mask is Mark Grayson. I also need to note that this is basically the other half of a pairing. A few months back, Soso did come out with Omnipotent Man, aka Omni-Man, Mark Grayson's father. So it's pretty exciting to now be able to put Invincible and Omni-Man side by side on our shelves in a 1/6 scale format, all thanks to Soosootoys. They've been basically doing a lot of the popular characters that other companies aren't, and thank God for that because we can fill in the gaps with all these incredible characters. Now, is this release by Soosootoys perfect? No, but clearly, as you can see through the lens, it is a fantastic looking piece. What we have here is the battle damage gloves, wristbands, and headpiece on here. We can go ahead and swap those out, and I'll do that in the next shot. But just a quick pause as we can see these bright, vibrant colors. And hopefully everybody can tell based off of the pose, we clearly have double jointed elbows in there. Happy to report we have double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, and a very flexible suit, allowing you to pose him however the hell you want. Now, as far as the head sculpt, obviously it looks pretty freaking awesome. And in my opinion, the head sculpt is the highlight of the entire piece. This isn't exactly pulled straight from the comics nor the show, and obviously everybody is more familiar with Invincible through the Amazon Prime show. But as I mentioned earlier, Robert Kirkman did come out with this first with a comic book line that the Amazon show was based off of. And before we swap out the battle damaged headpiece, just take a note, you do have the little cracked eyeball on there. Blood splatter all on the chest, same thing with the hands here. And just overall, a really fantastic paint application to this head sculpt. And on top of this badass head sculpt, we have a magnet system. So basically, as far as moving his head, it is a magnet. So drop it down there, come around downtown right now, down. And boom, look at how easy you can flex that around. Super easy to post that head. And then underneath, you have the system to swap out the second head. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, put that on there, and boom, look at how easy you can swap that headpiece out. So we have the battle damage piece here, and now we have the clean Mark Grayson stoic superhero look. Let's note the baseball glove and baseball. We need to say kudos to Soso and the team over there because I believe the initial release did not have this included, but Soosootoys does listen to their fans. Somebody suggested it, and I definitely remember somebody suggesting it in one of the comments. And sure enough, there was a slight delay including the baseball and glove, but we now have an awesome little accessory included. And if you remember, this was the scene where he was playing with Omni-Man, aka his father. They were playing basically hyper super baseball where they're throwing it around the earth. So it's a cool little nod and throwback to the show. And again, just to stress, the fact that it's included shows that Soso listens to their fans. Now, as much as I absolutely love this piece, there are a few drawbacks, and I think we can get all three of them, and I think there's only three of them that really stood out to me in this one shot. Now, for starters, the magnetic head has this little foam piece underneath here. It's obviously to prevent any type of damage or paint scuffs. So boom, suck it right back on. The unfortunate thing is, it's almost like it's just not cut well enough. So depending on the angle of the head, I can always see that little black piece. And the head sculpt is so nice and clean looking that it just, the anal part of me, it just bothers me. So I wish there was a way, or it maybe should have even been painted yellow or something. I wish there was just a better way to hide that little black piece underneath there. Again, a minor gripe, but it is there and it is visible. As you can see again, it's pretty prominent right there. There's a big black line. Next would be the stitching on the back here. I mean, it's something to be desired. It's not horrible by any means. I mean, I'm not sure I could do anything better, but something's just a little sloppy about the stitching on the back there. Now, with that said, who the hell is going to have this thing turned around? I mean, you're very rarely going to see the backside of this, but as far as craftsmanship and tailoring goes, I think this could have been a little bit better done. And then last, it's going to be a minor gripe, and I don't know, some people might roll their eyes, but similar to Omni-Man, the gloves, the way they hit the arm piece here, I think because they do hard plastic, it just ends up being a little bit sloppy. So for instance, if I wanted to turn it, you can see kind of like these gaps and holes in it because it's all hard plastic. So it's almost like you have to have it right in the perfect spot for it to fit nicely around there. But we're not all going to keep that hand in the exact same spot like that. Some of us might want to twist it around downtown like this. So for future releases against So-So, I just think something about the way these gloves are hitting this piece here, and it was very similar on Omni-Man. There has to be a better way to do that. Now, as we pull it back a little bit, the rest of the suit, I mean, it's done pretty well. We have kind of this plastic textured, dare I say, Superman-ish feel to it. I mean, it's a little bit loose on here, as you can see in the bends of the arm and stuff. But the positive part is it leads to some nice articulation. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I first took this guy out of the box, the body was so light feeling that I was like, man, is this a piece of crap body that's included? It is light feeling, but, well, I'm not necessarily sure that that's a bad thing because it does the job right. I mean, proportions look decent. The articulation, as we can see, is awesome on this suit. Not sure I'm going to leave it in that bend forever, as we're already seeing some creases in there. Oh my God, actually, he's only been like that for a little bit. So yeah, creases are going to be pretty extensive on there. So I'm going to leave those. Oh my God, I'm going to keep him. This is basically how he's going to be forever on my shelf. And as we make our way down, obviously we have the same fabric that leads its way right down to the legs. Not too much in contrast on this figure. As far as the body goes, is really just straightforward, this rubbery suit here. And then the hard plastic 3D printed pieces like here, and then of course on the arms there. And then as far as the shin guards and stuff go, they do look pretty nice. The only gripe I would say is there could have been a little bit of weathering or some type of extra patterning or shadowing. It could have added just a slight more depth had we added some texture or, like I said, shadowing on these boots. Not bashing them because, like I said, through shot and under the lens here, they look pretty nice, but a slight bit more detail couldn't have hurt. And as I mentioned, as far as articulation, I mean, double jointed knees on this guy allow you to do whatever the hell you want. I would be careful. The bend on here could damage this over time, so maybe pull it back up depending on how much you want here. However, with that said, I'm saying that it's pretty loose on the back here, so you might not have too much trouble whatsoever. And then down here at the ankle, you do have a split cut there, so boom, you can shake it around downtown like that.
Hey, want to go fishing with me?
Just a very brief shot of Mark Grayson's ass. That's it. Just a quick shot of his ass. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to let everybody know they do include a stand. If you are familiar with Soosootoys, this is a very stereotypical stand that they include with it. Unfortunate to say, it is only a flight stand. There's no crotch grabber on this thing. And given that in one of the shots, the bend on the elbow was already starting to add some creases, I think it's just a kind of a poor choice to only include a flight stand. Because a waist grabber on a flight stand, typically over time, and not just Soosootoys, it's whoever includes a flight stand, but all waist grabbers over time end up damaging the figure's waist. And one of the greatest / saddest examples of that was Man of Steel. The Hot Toy stand would damage that and almost pull his little belt off over time. I have seen it before where you can include one of these and a waist grabber basically that slides down the pole here as well. So you're including all the same stuff here, this as well, but one extra piece that we can slide down that turns it into a crotch grabber instead of a flight / waist grabber. And of course, before we wrap this up and slap a score on this guy, a quick side-by-side with his father, Omni-Man. Mark Grayson is a lot smaller in size, so as far as scale, I do think the proportions between these guys is accurate and looks well. Clearly through shot here, as we've seen through the comics and the show, Omni-Man can absolutely destroy and beat the crap out of Invincible. And I would say to most collectors, one of the most satisfying things is having pairs and sets of things out there. And the fact that we now have Omni-Man and Invincible as a pair side by side on our shelf feels extremely satisfying, looks amazing. We have a bright and vibrant suit on Invincible, a pretty straightforward yet powerful suit on Omni-Man, and side by side, father and son look fantastic next to one another. These could now be a highlight to anybody's collection. Unbreakable by Soosootoys, aka Robert Kirkman's Invincible. I think they did a fantastic job with this release. And of course, with Season 2 just around the corner, how exciting is it to have Omni-Man and Invincible right on our shelves, side by side. I'm going to be like a little kid when Season 2 comes out and put these figures right on the table in front of me as the show is playing. And I might even hold them in my arms as I'm watching the show. I'm not sure, either on the table or I hold them in my arms like a little teddy bear. Nonetheless, Soosootoys did a great job. There was a couple minor gripes. The stitching on the back, the way the gloves tuck into the wrist piece there has to be a better way going forward. And then, of course, that little black line that's underneath the chin piece, I think it should have been painted yellow or something, because the headpiece and the head sculpt alone are so clean and fantastic looking that it almost drives me nuts seeing that dark little line underneath his chin. Maybe we can all view it as a shadow, but I wish it was just a completely clean yellow look. As I said, these are minor gripes. Take a couple steps back. Especially to the untrained eye, this piece looks fantastic. Pair that all with double-jointed elbows and double-jointed knees, and you can pose this guy however the hell you want. And lastly, to note, a magnet system with the head. Super easy to articulate, super easy to swap out the battle damage piece. I just hope every 1/6 scale company comes out includes a head with magnet pieces going forward. And I think now is a perfect time to segue into a score on this figure, and what's coming to mind, and I have felt it for the past few minutes, is an 8.1 out of 10. Like a lightning bolt, it just shocks my chest. I feel it. An 8.1 out of 10. There's a couple drawbacks, and with an 8.1 out of 10 and a great price point on this figure, I think he was like $180 or something like that, I do suggest it. It's probably going to be a long time before another company comes out with an Invincible figure, especially at the affordable price point that Soosootoys marks their figures. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here today with this fantastic representation of Invincible. But I really did like Glenn until Negan bashed his face in. Catch you guys next time.